How am I filming a term 4 update? I feel like I filmed this update for last year, like not a year ago. Let's put it that way. I mean, we've only got 2 terms left of our school year, and they're only 6-week terms for us, so that's not very long. But I'm really excited to share with you what we did during term 4. It looked a little bit different to our other terms, so if you're interested, keep watching. Hello, if you're new here, my name is Christine and I am a homeschooling mama of 3 kids, ages 7, 5, and 3. My youngest 2 are very soon to turn 6 and 4, which is crazy because it means my 4-year-old's going to be 5 next year, and I just don't know if I'm quite ready to comprehend that. But they're growing up, and I have been homeschooling for, I think this is our 3rd year, like officially. And I was homeschooled myself. So I've been in the community, I've lived it growing up, and I love homeschooling. It's a subject I'm very passionate about, and I really, really love and enjoy, and it's what I share here on this channel. So if that's something that interests you, go ahead and subscribe. Today is like a chatty catch-up video. I do these once a term just to kind of do an overview of how our term went, things we changed, things we didn't, that kind of stuff. So let's get into it. Term 4 looked different for our family than all of our other terms, and I knew it was going to look this way because my husband booked off 2 weeks of annual leave. He hadn't had any time off of work since February when he took a week off. Or even, did he take 2 weeks off? I can't remember now if he took a week or 2 weeks off, but he works in retail. There are very few like down times or quiet times during the year, so it's often difficult for him to get time off. But we knew that he desperately needed it, and so while the shop was quiet, he took 2 weeks off, and we planned to have a family holiday during that time. So the way that our schedule worked this term was we had 2 weeks of school, 2 weeks off, and then another 2 weeks of school. So 6 weeks total, and 2 of those, well, one of those we didn't do any school. The second week we did some school, but I'll get to that. So we're technically right now, as I'm filming this, in our week off, but we haven't taken a proper week off because we took the 2 weeks off in the middle of our term. So we've continued with handwriting and language arts during this week off. And honestly, it's like less than an hour of work, so it's no biggie, but it's just to keep things ticking along so we don't get too far behind. So term 4, I mean, it went fairly well as far as our school. We really found our groove. I think the term before I spoke about changing our schedule so that we're doing all of our group subjects on a Monday. So the rest of the week we just do individual subjects. For the most part, I still do read-alouds and things like that, but like science and history and those kind of things we do on a Monday, and we continue to do that this term. And honestly, it went really well. I really enjoyed that schedule. The kids really enjoyed that schedule. They look forward to it. Something that I incorporated this term was a unit study from Harbor and Sprout, and I'm planning on doing a video on it because it's a curriculum I'd heard a little bit about, but I hadn't really looked into, and we're not using it like exclusively or anything like that. It's definitely supplemental to what we're like our core subjects. But my goodness, my kids have enjoyed it, and I've enjoyed it. We have done the forensic science unit from Harbor and Sprout, and it's like it is a unit study approach. There's a lot in it. And as far as I'm aware, I don't know that they offer a physical version of it. I think it's all digital. But you can print off as much as you want or as little as you want. And it's very organized. I've got a Facebook group for it. Anyway, we have dabbled with that in term 4. We have not completed the unit by any stretch of the imagination. I think we've only completed like week 1 because there's so much in it that you can do. And so I've kind of like picked and gone through the things that I feel like my kids will really enjoy, and they've learned through it, and it's been really fun. And I actually got a second unit that we're going to do as well. I don't know if we'll even get to that this year, but we'll see how we go. Like I say, the kids have really enjoyed it, and it has been fun. But I don't think that I changed anything else for like our studies. We did a little bit of science from the Good and the Beautiful. We moved on to their space science unit. We finished off arthropods in the term before that. So we finished that off, really enjoyed that. Now we've moved on to space science and my kids are loving that so far. We've only done a couple lessons and we are continuing with Story of the World Volume 1. We're going to finish that this year. And I'm excited to move on to the next volume, like really excited. My kids enjoy it. And I just have to say this because I don't usually get like snarky or like rude comments on my videos. For the most part, everyone is very, very respectful and like uplifting. But someone commented on one of my day in the life videos saying something to the effect of, why are you making those children listen to ancient history? Like clearly it's going over their heads. And I just rolled my eyes because, like, I definitely was snarky in my reply and was like, I happen to think that they're actually more than capable of retaining information. But also, it's like Story of the World. It's not boring to listen to. It's very well written. Well, the other day we were sitting in the living room and I heard my 5-year-old talking to her 3-year-old sister and saying, did you know back in the olden days, they had to go off to the army when they were 7 years old? And I was like, it was like a ding 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 moment, and I was like, that's right, those were the Spartan warriors, and they had to leave home, the boys had to leave home when they were 7, and they had to go and fight and learn how to be soldiers. And I was just like, so there. That is why I have them listen to it, because they do retain it and they learn so much, and that is a 5-year-old. So that was just a little moment of, what's the word I'm looking for? Validation. And was really excited. I'm always excited when I know that they're retaining and they're enjoying what they're learning. So yeah, that was really great. Group subjects are going well. Our Read Aloud, we read the 4th book in the Chronicles of Narnia series. We're reading them in publication order, not chronological order, and my kids, once again, really enjoyed that. I'm looking forward to doing like a review on the whole series at the end of the year and letting you guys know what my kids thought, like which were our favorite books, that kind of thing. But we enjoyed that. And then we also read the story of Nate Saint. So he, if you've not heard of him before, I was like familiar with his story. I read it when I was a kid. He was the pilot who flew in the mission. He was a missionary pilot, but he flew in the other missionaries, Jim Elliot, Ed McCully. There were a few, I can't remember all of their names. There were 5 men total who went in to try and reach the Orca Indians in South America. This was back in the 50s, and they were killed by them at the time. But it's just his whole testimony and his biography, and it's from YWAM Publishing. I know a lot of other homeschoolers use their books and really enjoy them. I read them a lot as a kid, and a lot of the stories really stuck with me. I would say Nate Saint was one of the main ones, and also the Life of Amy Carmichael was another one that really was like just stuck in my memory like forever. Just incredible people. And my kids, I will say that like my younger girls, it definitely went over their heads a lot. They got the general gist of it at the end, but my 7-year-old, like it really was good for him to listen to. And so I don't think we're going to do another one of those this term. They're quite like heavy books in that sense. I mean, it's real life events and they're wonderful for my kids to be learning. But like I like to, keep things balanced. So we're going to do something a little bit different this next term. But I've got that one. I've got Mary Slessor is the other one I've got. And then our library, I was joyed to find out that they actually have a whole bunch in our library. And I never thought that because you just don't see a lot of that kind of stuff in our public library. So excited to pull more of those from there and to read those to my kids. So read alouds were a real success though. We did well with those. Individual subjects have been going so well. I feel like we've really, really found a good groove for our like core subjects of language arts and math. We're using All the Good and the Beautiful for that exclusively, and both of my kids are really enjoying their subjects, and I'm very, very pleased with how they're progressing and just how they're enjoying it as well. That was like a really big thing. For me, I'm going to have a video coming out on a review of their reading program and just like talk about the thoroughness of it and whether I think it's enough and that kind of thing, because it's something that's been hotly debated throughout the years and the revisions that they've made. And like, if you've been following me for any time, I ended up using All About Reading with my eldest for quite a while because The Good and the Beautiful just was not doing it for him. And now he's using it exclusively. So that has been really great. Academically, I feel like we did great this term, and the kids have done really well. We've had fun for sure. Okay, then we took our 2-week break. So the first week we went away on a family holiday to a place called Napier, which is a coastal town. It's actually where one of my siblings lives. But we stayed in an Airbnb there, and it was right opposite the beach. It was a winter holiday for us. Here in New Zealand, it's winter. And we had such a great time. It was a really cool Airbnb. It was a big house. In fact, Charlotte kept getting lost. It was quite comical, actually. But the spot was great. And then we just did fun things. We went to the aquarium. We went to the honey factory and did like it was like a self-guided tour thing about how bees make honey and that kind of stuff. And the kids really enjoyed that. We went on walks and we went shopping. And there's a bookstore there, which I have talked about before. And I will share about it again. It's called The Little Bookshop, and it's a secondhand bookstore. And it is my version of heaven on earth. And my husband was good enough to be like, I'll have the kids and you go. And so I did. And I went, I don't know how long I was there for, but it was a good long while. And I was like on my hands and knees. Like, they've got so many books in there. It's just like piled up everywhere. And I have got this app, and I wanted to share it with you. It's called Libib, Libib. And it is basically where you can digitize your personal home library. So it's got like a barcode scanner. So the ISBN number, you can scan that and it'll automatically put it in. But you can like categorize all the books you've got. You can manually put them in. So it's really helpful when you go to places like secondhand stores and you're looking at books and you're like, do I have this or not? You can quickly look it up on your phone. And that was super helpful for me, especially when it comes to like Enid Blyton books. I've got so many of them now that I have to be really careful not to double up. And so I spent, I think, like $100 on books, and I got so many books. So that was really, really great. And I actually found another secondhand bookstore in a place called Havelock North, which is just like a little church donation store, and I got some really nice books there too. So that was fun for us. It was just a great family time away. We needed that. And then we got home and we were so excited to get stuck into the garden. My husband was building me a fence to go around my vegetable garden to keep the dog out, and we're gonna put the chicken coop in there as well so that the dog couldn't get near the chickens. And Monday dawned. It was beautiful sunny weather, and in New Zealand it had rained for like 2 months. I'm not even exaggerating. It rained so much over the previous 2 months, and so we were so excited for the weather. And then on Monday night, my husband got a gastro bug. And I actually thought it was food poisoning at first because it was awful. It was so bad. Anyway, I was desperately hoping that it was food poisoning and not gastro. Turns out it was definitely gastro because one of my kids got sick the following evening, I think. And then another kid was up all night sick. And then what happened? I think it was the following night I got it. And I have not been that ill since I was like 15. So like half my life ago. It was awful. It was so bad. The nausea was like, I just wanted to die. It was awful. So I got sick, and then finally the last kid got it as well. I think the same night as I got it. I don't know if we had a break in there at some point. I don't know. I didn't sleep really that week at all. And at the time I was incredibly disappointed because we had a lot of things we had lined up to get done that week we were excited about, and the sun was so beautiful and shining. And I was so sick for, the worst of it was like 24 hours, but it was a couple of days of feeling like lightheaded and having no appetite and stuff. So it was a big bummer at the time. But my husband somehow amazingly managed to finish the fence by the end of that weekend before he went back to work. So yeah, we had done some language arts, and I think we were just doing language arts that week. We had managed to do it for a few days, but obviously by the end of the week I was sick. I was like totally out. There was no way I was going to be teaching anyone anything, and so we had to give up on that idea. But we got a little bit of schoolwork done, so there was that. And so thus ended the 2 weeks off in utter sickness, and that I will gladly never ever have that again. It was awful, and I pray we don't get that anytime soon. We've had tummy bugs before, but that was really bad. It was horrible. So yeah, fun times. Unfortunately, this winter we've had so many sicknesses, and I just think it's because our borders reopened at sort of like this year, and I think that we've all been exposed to a lot of stuff we haven't been exposed to for the last couple of years, and so our immune systems are playing catch up. So anyway, that's what happened there. And then we did finish the last 2 weeks off strong. We got our school done, and it's been great. We hadn't met up with our homeschool friends for ages because people kept getting sick, and so it was like 6 weeks, I think, between when we saw some people. It just was crazy. But overall, I want to say, despite the sickness, we did have a successful school term. I'm really excited for term 5 because we're in a groove. We're doing a little bit more school this term. Like, I am going to be doing some school on a Friday, no group subjects or anything, and mainly with my 5-year-old because I just want to play catch up on a couple of things, and she's more than capable. So we're doing a little bit more there. Our read-alouds will be moving on to the next Chronicle of Narnia book, and we're going to be starting the Boxcar Children series. So our library has a lot of those books, so we're going to go ahead and start those, and I feel like they'll be nice, like light read. I'd like to make it a little bit more lighthearted the nearer we get to the end of the year, because the weather gets warmer, everybody just wants to be outside and playing, and so do I, to be honest. I want to be out in my garden, and so I like to keep things a little bit lighter as I can. So anyway, that is our update. I hope I covered everything. It was pretty long and chatty. If you have any questions for me, go ahead and leave them down in the comments below, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.
The world had more of your smile. What if the wind could spread your love? What if your sweetness could reach everyone? There'd be no war.